So hello, so today we'll be starting with coding decoding, which is the new chapter that we'll be getting into. Let's just dive right into it, okay? It's a fairly simple chapter. The only thing is you need to do a couple of questions on the chapter because there are some different types, but don't worry, we'll be doing, like today we'll mainly be doing questions itself, not much theory that we'll be covering. It's going to be questions. Okay? So what are we going to do under coding decoding? Basically, you will have a set of letters or numbers given in a code where you will have to decode these, and sometimes you might even have to like further code it again, but we'll see. The point is you will have certain letters, I'll just write it here. You will have certain letters or numbers, or it will be a mixture of both of these. Okay, as in letters might be coded to numbers, or it might be that letters might be coded to letters and numbers coded to letters, numbers coded to numbers. Whatever it is, there will be a certain kind of code. What you need to do is basically the one code will be given and you might be asked to code something else in the same manner. So one code will be given and you'll be asked to code something else in the same manner. What they expect us to do is to find the pattern of coding and then use that pattern to code the second case. But you don't actually have to find the pattern in all cases. We'll be discussing that today. There are some easier ways of doing it. We'll go through it today. So anyway, like I said, coding can be of two types, either letter coding or number/symbol coding. Letter coding is basically when, like I said, you have letters which will be coded in terms of letters. I'll just take you to the definition so that you can get a good idea. There's also an example question. So, yeah, a group of letters will be coded by another set of letters following a certain pattern. What they expect you to do is to identify the pattern and accordingly answer the question. But this identifying the pattern is not always necessary. Okay, although this is what the whole point is about, you can also do it without identifying the pattern. So here, I've taken a previous year question 2022. Okay, okay. So in a certain code, certain is coded as this: BFQUZJN. How is mundane coded in that code? Okay, so now like what they expect us to do is to find out the pattern of this coding, how this coding has been done, and then this same pattern you apply to mundane. Okay, but since you have options here, it is not necessary for you to do that in all cases. In some cases it might be, but you can also go by without actually getting this done. How? I'll tell you. For example, here I need just look for a letter which is also available here. Okay, so if I take E for example, E is available here, right? So here E has been coded as F, right? E has become F. So I can sort of guess that in this case also the last letter should be an F. It's just guesswork, but since we have options, we're free to do guesses, right? So last letter being an F works in these three cases, but we can eliminate one option. We're done with that. Moving on, now let's take A. A is at the 5th position here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You go to the letter at the 5th position here in the code. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's Z. So now again we are guessing that here A should become a Z. So our guess was that here E becomes an F and A becomes a Z. A is at the 5th position here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here, where do you have Z at the 5th position? Here. So we have gotten it, as simple as that. But we also need to cross check. So just take some other letter for this time. Take N. N is the last letter. N becomes an M. So here N is at the 3rd position. Take N. Does N become an M? Yes. At the 3rd position you have an M. So this works. Right. So here what have we done? We have gotten the answer without even finding the pattern. Right. So we have gotten the answer without knowing the pattern, which is how a lot of questions can be done this way. But in some questions you will have to find the pattern. Don't worry, I have added such kinds of questions also, so you get an idea, right? But yeah, this was a very nice way of solving it. Okay, now next, In such right, so now coming to number slash symbol coding. Basically what you have is that you will have a group of numbers or symbols which are coded either by number or symbol. By symbol it's mostly letters itself, but yeah, sometimes it can be some other symbol also, we'll see. Here park is coded as 5394, shirt is coded as 17698, and Pandit is coded as 532068. Then how is Nishar written in that code? So here we do not have options. So actually for most of the competitive exams that you prepare for, grade 8, 9 level, you will have options. But let's say you don't. What if you don't? You can still find it still as easy. This is also a previous year question. So here, what do we want? I need to find Nishar, right? Okay. What do I do? N. Where do I have N here? I have N in Pandit. N is the third letter. Okay. I go to the code. I check the third number, which is 2. I've gotten N. Now I need to find I. I go to Pandit again. I can also go to shirt, which is again, see, I'll tell you, wait. So Pandit, I is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th letter. I becomes, what does I become in this code? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But just cross check. So you have it in shirt also. In shirt, I is the third letter. What is the third number? Again 6. So this, you know that this is right. Now S is the first letter here, and in the number you get a 1. So she. Okay, 261. H is the second letter. The second number is a 7. So you get that too. What else? A is the, if you go to park, A is the second letter, the second number is a 3, so you get that. R is the third letter, the third number is a 9, so you get that. And so you have gotten the code. Again, you have gotten it without even finding the pattern. Okay, so you have, this is how you do it. That's a right. So this is how you do it. Just give me a second. Okay, moving on to the next, which is we'll just do a couple of examples. Like I said, see, what's important here is that you do examples. That's the most important part of this section, right? So what's important is that you do examples. So now we'll mainly be doing examples itself. Okay, in a code language, sugar is written as BCDZF, water is written as PZQMF. Put the words tears into the same code. Again, you don't really have to find the pattern. We'll see if we can find it without finding the pattern. So just look here. Tears. Do you have T anywhere? Yes, you have it in water. It's the third letter. What is the third letter in the code? Q. Oh, okay. The problem with Q is the starting letter for all the elements of the code. So Q is not a great idea to begin with. But let's look at E. For E is the fourth letter in water, right? What does, just give me a second. Yeah. E is the fourth letter in water. What does the fourth letter become in this case? The fourth letter becomes, 1, 2, 3, 4. It becomes an M. So then in that case, see, you get an M as the second. So here, since E is the second letter, you need M as the second letter. M is the second letter only for one case. So you can say that this is the right answer. If you want, you can also cross check. So what do we cross check with? Let's go to A. A is the third letter. Here in water, A is the second letter. In water, A becomes Z. Hana. So here, A has to become a Z, and A has become a Z. Right. So that's it. You're good to go. Great. Okay, now moving on to your next question. If word math is coded as 26 to 4016, then code for the word book is. Okay, so the problem here is, it's not exactly a problem, but our old trick will not work here, because if you look at the letters of the book, none of the letters are there in math, right? So you can't just try to, copy the code. That's not going to work. So one thing you can think of, though, it's not useful here, but it might be useful for some other question. Here, O, you have the same letter. So in the code that is given, you can guess कि code में जो numbers है, the second and third number should be the same, because here it's the same letter, right? But here it's not of any use, because here second and third letter is the same for every code, but that doesn't work. But there are situations where it will work. So just, these shortcuts that you have, it helps a lot while trying to do questions quick. Okay, so now since none of these work, what do we resort to? So in most cases, like we learned in classification, and like I said, I mean, during the classification class, I had mentioned how it's important that this particular thing you keep in mind, and that is writing the corresponding numbers. Okay. This will be enough. Yeah, we'll just stop at T actually. So yeah, just write the corresponding numbers. Okay. So now, so what is M? M is 13, A is 1, T is 20, H is kya hai? H kya hai? 8. Now we see if there is any kind of correlation that we can find. So M13 has become 26 in this case. What do you know about 13 and 26? Do you know that 13 twos are 26? It's the double of 13. 26 is the double of 13, right? So that works. But let's see if it works for other cases also. A is 1. Yes. 1 twos are 2. And we have gotten 2 here. T is 20. 20 twos are 40. It works. H is 8. 8 twos are 16. So we've gotten. So basically the code is that the corresponding number into 2. Okay. So you try that here also. So book is 2. 2 twos are 4. This is the only option where it begins with 4, right? So this is the option. If you want, you can just cross check. Cross check with the second letter 0, 0 not 0, sorry, O. O is at 15. 15 into 2 is 30, and so this works, right? That's it. Again, simple. So here we actually had to find the pattern, but we were able to do it. So finding the pattern is not very difficult. It's an easy task. Okay. Moving on. In a certain code, name is written as OBNF. How will ship be written in that code? Okay, so can we get anything? No, we can't. Name different letters doesn't help. So since that does not help, we can go back to our old method of writing corresponding numbers. But before that, just see if there is anything that you feel some kind of a similarity. LMN. Oh, okay. Do you see this? If you look at the first letter and the third letter, the first letter comes soon after the third letter. HIJKLMN, right? Does that happen here? Also, yes. NO. Basically, what is happening is that in the first case, it's MN that is taken, and then it becomes NO. So if this is the pattern, what should happen is that for SI, okay, but here SI does not seem to work, because if you see, well, like here M comes soon after N, right? I mean N comes soon after M. This does not work here, because then it would have to be JI. So that's not the right thing. Is there anything else between A and E? How many letters do you have? B, C, D, 3 letters. Between B and F, C, D, E, again 3 letters. Does this, but the problem is, okay, yeah, so A, E, B, F, okay. Does it work here? Between H and P, how many letters do you have? H, I, J, K, no, way more than 3 letters. So that does not work. Okay, so since none of our initial tricks worked, we'll just resort to our old method. This is a method you can always fall back on. Okay, so uh, write the numbers. name 14, 1, 13, 5. What is it written as? 15, 2. Okay. Do you? There is a very obvious there's a very obvious pattern that we missed. I was trying to find some like complicated patterns, but there's something much easier. Basically, every number, every letter is what comes after the letter right before it. So HIJKLMNO, A, B, M, N. It's the letter that comes right after it, right? F, this. So in that way, this is very simple. So ship, what will ship be? LMNOPQRS, T, H, I, J, LMNOPQ. Basically, the letter that comes after it, right? So do I have this anywhere? Yes, I do. TIGQ. That's it. Done. So right. So it was. We did not have to do this, but writing this thing always helps. But the thing is, this is time consuming. How can you work on this? You can try by hearting some of the letters. Like I would have mentioned this. I did mention this in my, I think, my classification examples class, that if you can by heart, like just say like E is at 5, J is at 10, O is at 15, Z is at 26. If you can know that some positions, then it helps a lot. So yeah, that's one thing that you can do. Moving on, in a certain code, oral is written as 3196. How will written be written in that code? Written be written. Okay. So here, again, do we, okay. The thing is, right, so going by one-to-one correspondence, here R has a relationship with 1. So the second letter should also have a relationship with 1, right? But when you look at the options, there is no option with 1 as in the second place. What does that tell you? This one-to-one correspondence thing that we have been thinking of, like, the first letter having a relationship with the first number, it's wrong. So then, if not this, what? So another very famous form of question is, I'll show you. So see, what we have been expecting is ki, agar if you have L here, L will have a correspondence with 6, A will have a correspondence with N, R will have a correspondence with 1, O will have a correspondence with R, right? This is sort of what we have been expecting. Instead, what so this is what like we've been expecting to happen, right? But since this does not work, one thing that will help is, which is usually seen in questions, is that, see, instead of the correspondence being one-to-one in the sense, first one will have a correspondence with the first. Another thing is, L will have a relationship with 3, A will have a relationship with 1, R will have a relationship with 9, O will have a relationship with 6. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ठीक है? So basically, the last letter will have a relationship with the first number. Second last will have a relationship with second. ऐसा. Or then so basically first letter will have a relationship with the last number. ऐसा भी हो सकता है. So now let's check according to this way. So if you see like this, R here, we expect R to become a 9 in this case. So if you see that, so R becomes a 9, right? If you put that here for written, RITTEN, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters, right? So just give 7 numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're going by this correspondence, right? ऐसा, ठीक है? Just write this whole thing so it becomes easier for you. So what here, R will have a correspondence with the second last number, not the second number. So here, do you see second last number being 9? Yes, you see it in 2 cases. So that tells us, that our thinking is probably on the right track. So that it's not going to be this or this, but it can be this. But now, okay, we have found these 2 cases, but we need to find, this is not enough, right? We need to know if there is anything else that we can think of. So, okay. One thing we can do is, now we need to find some kind of pattern. Is there anything else? A, L, O are not of any use in written, none of these other things. So since none of the other things have been used, we can stick to our age-old method of writing this, right? So A, B, I'll write it smaller this time. One, two. Okay, so here what is A? O is 15. R क्या है? R is 18. What is A? A is 1 and L is, what is L? L is 12. Do you see any kind of pattern between 15? So 15 becomes 6. 15 minus 9 is 6. Okay. 18, okay. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. 18 minus 9 is 10. Okay, that does seem to be a pattern. But here it does not work. 1, it remains 1. 12 minus 9 also works. But the problem is, if it's a pattern, it has to work for everything, right? So how else do you define the pattern? But we can see, since it works for everything other than A, we can sort of see. So हम एक काम करते हैं, we'll just try to give this here. So here, if n, what is n? N is 15, right? I know n is 14. What is 14 minus 9? 4. Just a moment. 14 minus 9 is 3. No, it's not 3, it's 5. Okay. So here we are expecting there to be a 5 here. Okay, that actually could be the case, but now we reach another issue. So if it's a 5 here, there actually seems to be correspondence, but then from E also we should get a 5. Do we get a 5 from E? No. Okay, so we're thinking about some new pattern here. So here the problem with E is, so from N we have gotten a 5, with N we got, with R we got, yes up, we've got. Now if you look at E, what is 5 minus 9? It will give you a negative number. So the pattern could be that whenever you get a positive number, or like a number which actually works for this letter corresponding, because yeah, so like if whenever you get like a positive number or a natural number, it stays. But if not, if you cannot subtract it, if it's a number, so basically if it's a number greater than or equal to 9, you use it. If it is not, you just keep the number as itself, which is what has happened in this case. We kept A as 1 itself, right? Because you could not subtract 9 from 1. It will give you a negative number. So that could be the case. So here in that case, it makes sense for E to remain a 5, which we have seen here. Okay, that's very interesting. So now, since that is done, 5, 5, 2, okay. So now we need to actually find one option, right? So here for both of these options, 5, 5, 2 is the same. So here तीनों देखे, there is no use. 9, 5 is also the same. The only difference is here. This is what we need to look at. ठीक है. So that is the 1, 2, 3, fourth number and fifth number. Basically 1, 2, 3, 4. This and this. These are the most important ones to us. So what, the one that corresponds to T and the one that corresponds to I. But here we are countered with, okay, so there is a very easy way of looking at this. Instead of finding all of this, one thing we can actually do is see, as per our formula that we have gotten, T should, see, whatever, we don't know what T will give us, but whatever it will be the same number, right? Because T, jo bhi position hoga T ke, if you subtract or if you keep it the same, since the letter is the same, the number also has to be the same, right? What does that mean? This number and this number has to be the same. Both of these have to be equal. Basically, third number and fourth number has to be equal. In which case is the third number and fourth number equal? In the D case. So it cannot be A. It has to be D. We've gotten it. So this was a very interesting question. We first found a pattern, we thought it was wrong, but then it turned to be right, and then we did not even have to complete the pattern. We got it by just looking at this thing of there being two same letters. So that's why I said, even in the book case, I said, right, what is the book case? Yeah, by having two same letters is useful. You can use it to find your answers. Okay. Now since that is done, let's move on to the next question. In a certain code, page is coded as EGAP, how will face be coded? Okay. So here, before we get into the code, just look at whatever you have. Do you see some kind of similarity? Page EGAP isn't this the reverse? Like if you read page in this, yahan se like writes from right to left, what do you get? You get EGAP, right? So it's that's it. Very simple. Face, read it reverse, read reversely, you will get ESAF. That's you're done. Okay. Now, if nectar is coded as entekra, how will father be coded in the same language? So here, it's not the reverse order, but one thing that you see is that reverse to nahi hai, lekin you can see that there is a sort of all the letters in nectar can be seen here too, right? Now, what does that mean? So there, it's something to do with rearrangement. So here we had something to do with rearrangement, right? So we sort of expect the same here also because we see the same letters here. And even if you look at this option for the father, whatever options you have, all of these letters are found in father. Now, the question is finding what the rearrangement is, right? Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. The catch is finding what the rearrangement is. Okay, there are a lot of questions. Okay, so NECTAR, ENTCRA. So if you look at N and E here, you see that it becomes E and N. So basically what has happened is that you have swapped the letters. Again, if you look at CT, you see that it becomes TC, right? So there is a swapping happening in all three cases. Even if you look at AR, it becomes RA. So that is the pattern that we have found. If you try applying this pattern to this code that you have, FA will become AF, TH will become HT, ER will become RE. So that's basically AFHTRE. So this works. This is the answer. Okay. So finding the pattern. So here also you do not have to go and find the corresponding numbers. You just got it. So whenever you see that the letters are the same as you saw in the beginning, like the letters are the same as in the initial text, you know that there is likely no code. It's just, I mean, it's still a code, but there's no like mathematical operation or something. It's just a rearrangement. Okay. Moving on. If the code of R is stair, what will the code of arc be? Okay. Let me just write it. What does R give you? R gives you stair. What will the code of arc? Do you see what has happened here? How did R become stair? What has basically happened is that you've just added two letters at the beginning, right? So, yeah, you've just added two letters at the beginning. So, that's how R became stair. Similarly, if you add two letters at the beginning here, what do you get? You get starch. That's it. Simple as that. So, sorry, not this. Oh, okay, I'll actually get to this. It's starch. This is another very important thing. I had plans of saying this in some class. It's a good thing that happened with me. But yeah, so when you do questions, especially when it comes to intelligence, the thing is when you compare with other sections, intelligence is a comparatively easier section, and so people have a problem of, they get not exactly overconfident, I wouldn't use that word, but they feel at ease and they let their guard down. They're like, okay, ye to mujhe pata hai, this I know, this I know, I know this, I know this, and so like they just keep on taking and they sort of make stupid mistakes like this one that I just made. So instead of writing starch, I ticked strack, which is wrong. So even though I got the right answer, even though I got everything right, my final answer ended up being wrong. So it is very important that you be very, very alert when you solve questions. Okay, I hope that's clear. Now, if charcoal is coded as 451,64913 and morale is coded as 296137, how is scholar coded? Okay, so can we get this? We'll see if we can actually get this from this. So C is the first letter here, C is a 4. So this one you can rule it out. O is the second letter here. O is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th letter here. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6th number is N. 4, 9. You can rule this out, right? These are the two options with 4 and 9. L. L is the last letter. It becomes a 3. So the third letter is the third number is 3. You've gotten it. That's it, you're done. You can also cross check. So LL becomes E. E, what does E become here? E is the last letter. It becomes a 7. And if you see here, again, it's a 7, right? So even it's good to cross check, but yeah, we've seen that it's right. We have gotten that also. Moving on to the next question. If A is coded as 1, B as 2, and so on, how is CDE coded in the same language? Okay. A1, B2. Does something strike in your brain? What is this? This is the actual number correspondence of A, right? Like we used to do, how we used to write this whole set. So we would see that A becomes 1, B becomes 2. So here in the same case, yeah. So in the same case, so C would become a 3, D would become a 4, E would become a 5. Okay. So the CDE would be 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, in a certain code, article is coded as actress seal. How is picture coded in this code? Okay. What happens here? If you look at article, okay, let's just take a look at this. So again, you see that you have all the letters. So then in that case, like I said before, when you see that even in the code you have all the letters, it's likely to be a rearrangement. Are you able to find any rearrangement here? Let's see. Okay, the first and the third letter has been, okay, between the first, second and third, what has happened here? The third letter has come to the second position. Okay, so basically there has a swapping has happened here. Yahan bhi a swapping has happened here. Okay, so it's that basically there's just a swapping at these two positions, nowhere else. Okay, so in the same way, if you code picture, you swap it at these two positions. UT, baki sab you keep seeing. So you've just swapped these two positions because this is what happened here, right? So you get PCI, utre, whatever. So that is this one. So you have gotten this. So just look at what kind of rearrangement has taken place. Apply the same rearrangement and that's how you get the answer. It's as simple as that, okay? So we are done with coding and decoding. We've also done a couple of questions. As you see, it's easy, right? It's not too difficult, but some questions might take a lot of time. Practice makes a man perfect, right? So practice is all you need to have.